Right, we'll get everybody funneled in here. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our bringing meetings back safely fireside chat. We'll let everybody get settled here for a moment, and then we'll dive into our conversation. But thank you for joining us.
I forgot to ask you, no yacht today?
No yacht today. I've got the virtual background I could bring up, but I'm back on land.
I really thought, when we were first chatting that was a virtual background, and until I saw people washing the windows in the background. I'm like, this is like he's really on a yacht somewhere.
So for everyone wondering what the heck we're talking about, I decided to get out of town for a couple days, and I did something unique. Airbnb had people's yachts in San Diego you can actually stay on. So decided to stay on a yacht for a couple days and just change up the office view for a little bit of peace of mind. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of confusion thinking it was a virtual background. You weren't
such a good experience just to get out of your normal day Zoom routine. I love it.
Yeah, completely.
And
Stay safe. Stay safe in the process. All good stuff. So I think we've still got some folks joining us, but we'll go ahead and get started. So again, thank you all for joining us for our fireside chat this morning on bringing meetings back safely, and doing so by leveraging contact tracing or COVID tracing technology and meeting analytics. I think this is a topic that's really on top of mind for a lot of folks, especially those in cities that have felt the pressure and have felt the impact of what COVID has done. And I am super excited to have Tony Yousfi with us from Volan Technology. And Tony and I have worked together for several years in our prior life. But Tony, for those that may not know you as well, I thought if you can just get us started with a little bit of your background, and then we'll dive into a little the kind of what we're seeing in meetings and dive into more of this content.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. And you're right, such an important topic when you're dealing with contact tracing. Myself, 20 years in hospitality, 15 of the last years with MGM Resorts. Prior to that, it was with Caesars as well. So been in hospitality all my life. I just have a true passion about our business, what we do, what our meeting professionals go through every single day to put on basically a performance like no other.
So talk to me a little bit about Volan. What is Volan? When did you join Volan? And
Sure.
Give us a little bit of the rundown of the company.
Sure. One of our mutual friends, I'm sure a lot of people online know, Miss Shannon McCullen. Give her a quick shout out. Shannon is just one of those people, if you have never met her and you just need a lift for your day, give her a call. She's that person and she's super passionate. But started back in October. Shannon gave me a call and really we talked about meetings and how do we get meetings back and what does that look like and what does the environment look like today. And I mean, we all understand kind of what's been going on in 2020. We're all happy that that's behind us. A lot of us feel optimistic about 2021 and future years. We understand as 2020, as in most meetings canceled, almost all meetings canceled, and then pushed into 2021 and more in Q2, Q3, and Q4, especially in the back half, and then future years, that meetings are still happening. They're just pushed out a little bit. But how do we, bring it back and bring it back safely by using different tools and technologies? So one of the things that I was super excited about was, I think as a community in meeting planning hospitality, we've done a very good job understanding PP&E. We have done a great job about social distancing. We've done a great job about understanding room capacities. But, one of those voids still occur of how do we protect our colleagues and how do we protect our friends when a meeting does happen, and what does that look like today? And when we looked at this, when we looked at the current environment today, basically attending a meeting, and meetings are still happening. You and I just talked about Florida and Texas, and different states have different restrictions. But what does that look like if someone does have, Volan is basically twofold. It deals with today, and it deals with contact tracing, and then it deals with analytics. But for meetings in particular, when it deals with contact tracing, when we go to a meeting currently and someone reports back, as in we all do based on our bylaws and all the different things that we sign, that, Tony Yousfi came down with COVID, we report back to the meeting, and really there's nothing there other than the meeting organization sending an email to the entire attendee list saying, hey, Tony Yousfi doesn't know when he got it or what it looks like, but these people are exposed in this meeting. Everyone go get checked. Well, I think for every forward step we take, that to me puts us 2 steps back, because it just builds that uneasy feeling of, I took this, risk or opportunity to go to this meeting, and now I just got this email of I have nothing to know about. And so what Volan does, it provides analytics basically, and it secures your space, and it provides information that we can immediately know who Tony Yousfi came in contact with based on frequency, duration, and proximity, and within the CDC guidelines. And we can go and talk to those people that are higher at risk first, and really target in on those people and get the attention and really provide some real analytics, and then those people who then come in contact with and go down the line. So, Greg, you and I were talking earlier, doing nothing is not an option anymore. And unfortunately, we got this blueprint of COVID and what that looks like. And now, in the meetings world, we prepare for the unknown all the time. Whether the banquet person drops a tray or whatever that looks like, we prepare for that. We do have somewhat of a blueprint on whether if it's COVID, influenza, another strain, what does this look like and how to deal with it. So it's really protecting your colleagues and your friends of your organization on the contract tracing side.
That's super. I want to start by just kind of picking your brain a little bit on what's happening or some of the chatter you're hearing on meetings and events in general. And then I do want to pick your brain after that on a little bit more about the technology and how that
Sure.
really comes and applies into a situation. Because I'll remember, gosh, early in this whole COVID experience for all of us, I can't remember which conference or convention it was in Vegas, but I remember one of the first conferences where they had an attendee that tested positive. It was certainly a PR blitz, and it was all over the news. And I think, finding ways to be able to not turn it into a whole widespread media PR nightmare is important, and making it more targeted and understanding, okay, I was at this large convention, did I actually come anywhere near this individual or not? And, really limiting the need for false sense of concern, et cetera, and making it more targeted. We'll dive into that, and I think that's critical. What are you hearing in regards to, the future of meetings? When do you think meetings are going to be coming back? Kind of what's the talk right now, given news about the vaccine, et cetera, and some of these forward moving strategies and tools?
Yeah, we first got to deal with travel bans, corporate travel bans. I think that is a topic that whether you have Roger Dow from U.S. Travel, Mike Dominguez from Alhai, our leaders, a couple others are, advocating heavily to remove these travel bans. I think that's something that, on a global side that we have to deal with. And there are people, there's people advocating every single day, and we're doing our best to say that we can conduct a safe meeting. And what does that look like, and all the different precautions. And hotels have done an amazing job. Big shout out to all the hotels. It's expensive, and mostly at times when Occupancy is, in the teens midweek, where meetings happen. Meetings happen Sunday through Thursday, typically, depending on where you are in what region and what state. But if we look at it in a big perspective, we got to fill the midweek with meetings. So where is meetings today? Dealing with travel bans. As I said earlier, unlike when we had 2008 and we had 2009, where that recession looked a little bit different because rates dropped, occupancy dropped. Where we're seeing today, it's quite different in understanding that. Rates have not dropped because everything has been pushed forward. So the hotels are compressed in the meeting space. All those meetings that were happening in 2020 and for the first quarter of 2021 are pushed into Q3 and then into 2022. So if you're a meeting planner trying to plan for the future and understanding that we will get past this, we will get our vaccines, we will still have to deal with COVID one way or the other, whether if it's not everyone has a vaccine or certain people decided to take the vaccine or not, or there's a new strain or whatever that might be. We will get through it, but trying to really source your future meetings, you're going to find hotels that in 2022 and 23 have no space for your meeting. So good news and bad news. It's all compressed, but where we are today, if anybody would say that they can give you that answer 100.
I think we may have lost Tony. There
Did
he
I
is.
lose?
Back.
I don't know what I saw you, and I don't know where I ended up. Sorry about that. But anyways, I was saying, if anybody knew that answer 100%, I think they would be lying, because I think we're all just trying to figure out, but doing the best that we can to figure it out.
No, that's great. So, lots of variables in coming back, lots of, I think the travel bans, you're absolutely right, as we see the vaccine continue to, move its way into arms is critical to help speed that up. Let's talk a little bit about some of the technology that's out there and how Volan helps, work through some of the opportunities when you start getting people back together. There have been a lot of the states have adopted contact tracing apps themselves, right? More for family, social, just your everyday, day-to-day, which, potentially notifies you if you have an exposure. How does Volan, how are they unique in regards to, the technology that you provide and what that actually looks like and the capabilities versus some of these other tools that may exist out there that are a bit more general or generic?
Yeah. One thing we can all agree on, and we can know from our state governments, manual tracing is not effective. It's difficult, it's too hard, and we can't rely on people's memory. You can't know who you came in contact with. What does that look like? So there's different technologies. Now, what separates Volan when you're dealing with meetings and conventions from other technology that deal with contact tracing? Two things. Number one, we build our own mesh network. We don't rely on your phone. We don't go into the Wi-Fi of the hotel. You don't have to download anything. And if you're ever in a hotel, everyone knows that there's dead spots wherever you're at. So there's no integration with your phone or hooking on to any personal information with that. We build our own network. You wear your own sensors, you build the shield, and it's kind of we come in, we set up. It's a start to finish. We don't plug into any of the hotel infrastructure. We remove everything. We come in and we provide you all that information. So the second part is analytics. So that's hopefully contact tracing. I mean, one day we'll get really good at it and we understand it and we know that, but we're going to get past it, right? And we all are optimistic in that way. But also, Volan also provides a full analytic program that is meaningful to the meeting planning attendee. Whether it's understanding space violations, for an example. So we know a lot of states that you only can set for 50%, and it's a rule and a law and whatever that looks like. So if you're setting for 100 people and someone who attends your conference in a breakout room, then there's 51 people, you're going to get a notification that you're in a violation and you got to go deal with it. We all know we have stragglers in the back. Whether if it's rostering and understanding, we get in our convention terms, we get no-show lists and we understand who's there. But more important, understanding who didn't show up. If Greg was at the meeting for 2 days and then he has to be there the third day, but he's gone all day, let's make sure and go check on Greg, see if he's safe or something's just making sure that he's safe. Understanding the flow of the meeting. So if you're doing a trade show and people are visiting your booths, understanding who that person is, how do you get the meaningful information without physically handing, business cards anymore? And what does that look like? Or even better, let's customize what you actually need. It's not off the shelf. These are our 4 things, and this is what we offer, and take it or leave it. There's no one that understands their program better than the person that's putting on the program. What's effective for them to show an ROI to their stakeholders? What's effective for them to do a post-con with the sales manager or the convention manager after the meeting to see what can we improve on, what went right, and all those different type of analytics is built on a dashboard, and we can provide that to that person. So twofold.
So when you say, I know a lot of organizations think about, okay, I'm going to adopt technology, but given right now I'm running with reduced staff, I'm running with reduced budgets, capability, right? So when you say, use your own mesh network, how difficult is that really to go and implement or install into an organization or a space? Is it difficult? Is it easy? Because I know those are concerns that are top of mind for a lot of folks right now.
Yeah, budgets are tough, and the idea of an increased budget right now for to do a meeting, 2, to increase the budget to provide these technology for it. So that answer is, it's very simple. We come in and in less than a day, without plugging in, we have devices that we build around the meeting space, and the sensors go off those devices, and it's dollars per day for attendee to use. So it's not something extravagant. Our number one goal when we talked with Shannon and the team, it was about meetings and how to get those meetings back, and what does that look like. Look, Volan does a great job, whether if it's businesses, airports, schools. They're in many different verticals. This is just a different vertical, but the excitement of actually having that opportunity to bring the meetings back is a big one. But to your point, I've talked to a lot of meeting planners, and they go, hey, look, Tony, our food and beverage prices haven't dropped. They actually have increased because we have to do a special way for our buffet, or we have to do a special way for our break or our breakfast. Audio visual has not all of a sudden just been 50% less. So how do we figure this out? And a lot of it, it's one, getting the meetings back, whether you're shortening the meeting by half a day or building a budget that deals with COVID or protection, and having that and providing that budget to your stakeholders early on. Because like I said earlier, doing nothing is not an option.
Yeah, completely. So I know watching a lot of the contact tracing apps for the states rollout, one of the lessons and a lot of conversation that started circulating was this concept of safety, privacy, security. Are they watching my phone? Are they watching what I'm doing? Knowing that was such a hot topic for folks and very top of mind, when you think about how Volan applies this into potential meeting space, right? How would you reassure someone who may have concerns about privacy or security in regards to that?
Great question. Even, as I said earlier, we're not in the phone, which is funny because, literally over Christmas, you can say anything about any type of thing that you wanted, and you get ads like all the time on your phone. So it's like the craziest thing, but I'm the same way. I'm not big on downloading apps, and I'm not big on providing my information. I'm trying to remove, unsubscribe to a million different things as I possibly can. So what separates that? Look, Volun is a double encrypted information. We never see who the person is. They're a number. So there's no Wi-Fi, it goes to the cloud. Now, the only person that has the double encryption key that can get into the person and find out the information is the HR rep of the organization or whoever they designate for that meeting. Very similar if you're at, I don't know, let's just Amazon for an example, and you report that you have COVID, most likely, whether if it's your HR representative or your liabilities or your risk management deals with that, they would only have the double encryption key. So we don't get any information, whether from the start to the finish. We don't see that at Volan.
So would you say, or do you have a belief that, there's technology, or how has technology helped accelerate bringing meetings back into or events or any kind of social face-to-face in-person engagements? Have you seen technology helping speed that up? If so, how in kind of current application today?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a big shout out to our industry professionals, because I think we've always embraced new technology from the beginning, whether it was webinars to Zoom meetings to virtual to different apps to trade show stuff to exhibit stuff to meeting stuff to analytics. I think no matter what we say and no matter what we do, face-to-face is the most important thing. There's just nothing that brings out a person's passion and excitement and the feeling you get of just talking to a person live. We all understand that. But tools like Volan and other technology are essential on the way that we do business every single day. Look at, if the meetings industry did not adapt to virtual meetings or hybrid option, we would be dead. There would be nothing for this last year and a half, basically, of doing stuff. And now, I mean, granted, it's a whole different experience. Granted, it's we're doing a combination, but it's something. And whether if it's our production companies and our plant, I mean, we had to learn, look at from the planners who put on meetings for 20 years traditionally to learning a whole different platform, less than 8 months, and how to conduct, to integrate their sales teams or integrate their new product or whatever that looks like. So when you say new technology, it's pretty amazing to see how quickly we adapt. This is, I always look at Volan as another tool in your toolbox. I really believe that when we got an idea, like I said, for PPE, we just don't have no one had it for contact tracing and customizable analytics until Volan rolled it out.
I think it's been a pretty fascinating process to watch through, I'd say, the last year now of, you talk about businesses and especially small businesses being forced into a bit of their own digital evolution or technology evolution, right? That may not have ever had this on their roadmap. And I was talking to someone the other day about, it's funny, you think about the QR code prior to 2020, and it's something that really felt like it didn't have its spot in the universe, right? It was there, it was cool, it was different. Like, what is this? Where does it fall into the world? But it's almost like, the QR code during 2020 got to put its cape on and say, like, I know who I am now and I know where I add value. And you go to a restaurant now. I was at a restaurant last night, like, people are seeking the QR code.
Yeah, don't hand me a menu. I don't want a menu. Where's the QR code?
Where's the QR code? Right? It's found its place in the universe, which is super exciting for that technology. But you're absolutely right. There's a lot of evolution and adoption, and I think we're just seeing this start to, the beginnings of this. I think it's going to really spike a continued innovation and thinking outside the box as business evolves now.
There's a whole different slew of questions a meeting professional now has to ask, whether they're sourcing a hotel or they're conducting a meeting, whether, silly enough as the QR codes, down to safety, down to virtual, down. There's just so much out there. But look, I always say that knowledge is power, and these guys are just, look how much information, unfortunately, we had to, but look how much fortunate we are that we were able to adapt as quick as we did. And then we're going to take this and be even better going forward, because we're going to have the right tools to even have a better meeting.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm going to pause for a quick second, and those that are joining us for the session today, if you have questions around some of the topics we're talking about or things that may be top of mind for you, please go ahead and push that QA button on the bottom of your screen and submit those questions at any time as we go. I'll be shifting to audience Q&A here in just a couple minutes, so we want to make sure we cover anything that may be relevant or top of mind to you. So you can start submitting those starting now, and we'll get to those in a couple minutes. Tony, when you talked about, and I know you mentioned this earlier, a little bit of the analytics that is available or can be done through this app. What types of data or types of data sets could this technology, provide an event organizer or an attendee once it's put into place?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. I think when you first look at conducting a program and you're looking at it from the perspective of how's my next program even going to be better than this one? And what kind of information am I going to get that's going to help me determine that factor? Or what information am I going to get to show my CEO that there was an ROI on this meeting? And those are the questions I think most meeting professionals ponder and ask all the time. And now it's, okay, those are the general ones, but now it's more of, what information do I need on property to help me have a safe meeting? What does that look like? And how can I react to this immediately? Because if I'm 5 minutes late, that means I could possibly risk someone's life. What does that look like? So I think there's multiple different ways. Like I said, it's customizable for that, but based on what you need. It's unique in a way that real-time information is provided to you on a dashboard, whether you're the organizer or you have someone designated for that person. And it's super simple. It comes up on your iPad or however you have it. So like I said before, if it's a space violation, if it's a no-show report, if it's a space flow and understanding, I want to understand, this is a good one, Greg. I want to understand how long it takes for my attendees to move from their first break into the meeting and then into that meeting into lunch. And what does that look like? And how many people are together while that's happening? And I'm just coming up with different things. All that is at your fingertips in a dashboard, or whether if it's, I'm just trying to think of different things. There's a slew of different things. And I think that as an organizer and mostly a meeting professional, we can provide that information for you. But it's pretty amazing to see just all the different analytics. Trade shows is a big one. We've been dealing with flow charts and when you're in a trade show, you're selling a space, and that space that gets the most amount of traffic typically costs the most, or that's how it works, right? So it gives you an idea for your next year's show. Well, exhibit A had the most amount of attendees. Can I charge for that more next year, right? And you actually have analytics to show that person that space actually works that way. So going back and forth like that, there's quite a bit of stuff on the analytics side that can really help your ROI for the meeting.
That's great. We've got a couple good questions here, so I'm gonna spin over to these because I think they're really relevant for where we're at in the discussion, and I'll circle back with one or two other questions I've got for you. But the question just came in: is the technology only tracking in the meeting space, or is that something that can be expanded upon, within an entire property?
Great question. Expanded throughout the entire property. We are working with a group that and I know this will answer one of the other questions that I see on the chat line. We're working with a group that in January, January 27th in Austin, that they want to go out to the bar and restaurants area because a lot of people tend to go there quite a bit. So that answer is yes. We're working on another group late in the year up in the Fontainebleau in Miami that wants to do the beach. And what does that look like? Because they have a designated area that is just for them, and they want that perimeter done. So we actually had a funny one the other day, and I didn't know the answer, but it was the people were going out on a yacht and they wanted to do that experience. And so I didn't know that answer, and the answer is yes. But the answer is absolutely. But as soon as you leave the mesh network, it's not tracked anymore. So if the organizer says, you know what, it's just we want it in the meeting space and we want it right there and only, that's perfectly fine. So once you leave and you go in your hotel room or go whatever out of the zone, you're not tracked anymore.
It's funny you say mesh network, and I picture you like rolling it this huge like mesh net and like rolling it out.
I know all these weird words. It's basically providing a perimeter. We have devices that go around the perimeter. You wear your sensors and it beams off of the sensor. So
how long does it take to throw that mesh net out into the into a meeting space, let's say?
Really depends on the meeting. So the meeting that we're doing in January, it's 80 people. It's going to take us about 2 hours to do. So that'll kind of give you, now everything comes pre-done, pre-loaded. All the sensors are preloaded. We go off your registration list. So it's an easy process, whether you have a registration and you're handing out badges or you're handing out different material. All the names are done pre-hand. We just go to the meeting space itself. Based on the meeting space, we list out our little, we call them shields. So our little shields around the perimeter of the place.
So, and just to clarify, so you mentioned you're not in the phone. So is the attendees, you're tracking, is it a wearable? Is it?
Yeah, it's a wearable. It's a wearable that you wear. Absolutely. Sorry, I should have said that. It is a wearable that you wear, and it's fully charged for you, and it goes right, nothing to do with the phone. It's a wearable sensor.
Got it. Okay. I know, and maybe you just touch on this quick too, because it's not on our, we didn't discuss it ahead of time, but I know you'll run with it because I think it's relevant knowing some of the folks who are joining us today. You know, looking outside just quickly of meetings and events and thinking about other applications. I know you think about stadiums, you think about arenas, you think about, large places where people gather. You've got a large focus and a lot of great opportunity with contact tracing, but for those that may be interested in what else the technology can do, just to touch on this quickly, there's a lot of safety aspects. There's a lot of other tools that this technology can provide to different venues. I don't know if you can just touch on that quickly, because I think it's relevant to some of the.
Yeah, whether if it's a panic situation or an emergency situation, when Volan first came, when it was first introduced, it was introduced as a safety application. So yes, absolutely. One of the, you mentioned different verticals, and I can definitely say this because we were just in the news for Wycliffe schools. Very important as students get back into, they're the last piece really. And I have two children, a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, as in, I think they're the last ones to be vaccinated. I'm not really sure if you kind of go down the line. Some are in school right now, some are not, depending on states. So very important to understand what that looks like. So yes, we're in schools, airports. Here's another great application that I failed to mention earlier, but let's say where we're using it in an airport, and we can kind of tie it into meetings. There's an area, if you're doing a new launch, you're doing a new car launch. I've done quite a bit of those. So there's a new car that's being introduced, but no one can see it until the day of. So they block it off in the back of the ballroom in on the side. And basically no one can walk in. Well, we can set that as its own separate network where we would know if anybody else other than the people that are designated, what that looks like and how to react to that immediately if anybody's entering that zone. Really, it's meant for airports because they have a lot of different zones that people cannot access, but we've had that come up as well. So different applications, quite a bit of different things. And I saw this other question pop up, and I can talk about it. Really two folds, and I keep saying that. One, if you're a meeting planner and you just want to have this rent this for your meeting, you can absolutely do that. And that is probably the most common aspect that we're seeing as meeting planners are having these meetings. And then the second part is really if you're owning the technology. Let's say you're a hotel, or you're a production company, or you're a decorator, or whatever that looks like, and you're one of those companies, and then you're looking at for an opportunity to generate revenue. So there's two different sides. There's a rent side, and then there's an own side. So kind of addressing both sides of that.
That's great. And at least it's nice to have options in regards to a model. So again, back to the limited budgets, limited team members, whatnot. There's a pathway, frankly, to look at making this feasible for anybody. Kind of start wrapping this discussion up. I think this is super exciting, and these are tools that again are going to help just expedite being able to increase confidence of folks traveling, getting back into these instances. When you think about adopting technology, attendees being asked to carry around one more thing, do you think there's going to be a propensity and willingness for people to continue to adopt technology at a level that may be a bit heavier or more than they're used to? Do you see people being interested in frankly wearing the wearable, knowing that they've got this protection around them, or this information that's going to help keep them safe? What are your thoughts around that?
I think our industry was probably hit one of the hardest industries during this time. A lot of people, unfortunately, have moved into different professions. I think a lot of people have left the hospitality. Some are still holding on. And we're all just can't wait, this pent up demand on getting back and doing what we love. And that is putting on these unbelievable events, connecting people, launching new products. So to ask me that if I want to, it's like wearing a mask to me. It's not even a question. Whether if I don't care about myself, I have to care about everybody else. And I think hospitality individuals, more than anybody I've seen, have that type of compassion. So to ask someone, whether, you have to wear something that, one, does not track you, but help you protect your friends and your colleagues, to keep them safe in case someone does have COVID or another, whatever that looks like. I think for us, I'll speak on, our community, or a majority of our community, just give us the opportunity to come back to the meeting and safely. And I don't think that's an issue. We all felt that when we had to go through TSIA, all that stuff in the airport, and now it's like not even a big deal, and I think it's the same thing. We just want to make sure we're safe. So we got past that because we understood what that safety looks like, and this safety looks different for health reasons. And we've all seen enough over this last year of how it's affected everybody, family, relatives. I mean, we can't say anymore that I don't know somebody. I mean, it's, whether for myself, aunt, uncle, friends, close people, my boss, this person, I mean, every single, it's just common practice now that you see it, and you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that people are safe in order to get back into the meeting. So that's my perspective.
Yep, I completely agree with you. As we, Tony, as we kind of wrap this up, do you have any closing thoughts on, nuggets to leave with folks? Again, any other thoughts on kind of where the industry is going, or what that looks like?
I would just say that we're all excited to get back. I think we have you and I talked about feeling a little bit optimistic. It's about an attitude change after we left 2020, and now we're going into 21. And if you just have questions, it might be for you and it might not be for you, but it's good to know about it. And if you would like the opportunity to know about it a little bit more, and what does it provide, and dive deep in those analytics, please give myself a call. I'll be more than happy to share my side of it and my passion for it. But other than that, I just thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for always just being a champion of our profession. I mean, you're doing this every single day, and you're providing information for us and getting us better. So I appreciate that as well. So thanks again.
Of course. Tony, if someone wants to reach out to you, what email, contact info should they
Sure. It's Tony at volantechnologies.com.
Awesome. I threw it in the chat as well in case anyone wants to copy and paste. We can help fill Tony's inbox today. But if you do want to learn a little bit more about capabilities, applications, there's his contact info and the email address. The website is there as well. But Tony, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate your perspective. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.